So can we go back? You mentioned, okay, so there's kind of like two paths now. And one is we all start using, or we use cash more. So let's just focus on that for a second. And the problem there, of course, is there's lots of forces in motion to limit the use of cash. So one thing that I haven't seen other people mention is when I go to the ATM and if I do a withdrawal and it like pops up and gives me options for how much would you like to, that number has gone down over the years. Like it used to be a default was 300 like 15 years ago. And now it doesn't typically, for at least where I go and bank, I can still get it, but I got to go to a different screen. And so that's weird because $300 now isn't as much as it was 15 years ago. And so I think that's partly a conscious effort to like wean people out to get them. No, just use your debit card. It's a lot easier. And you don't need to be carrying all this cash. What if you get mugged? And then of course there's economists like openly writing papers about we should actively try to get rid of cash. And anyway, so what are your thoughts on that? The war on cash?
Oh, it's terrifying. In other countries, it's even worse than in America. Like I make an active, conscious decision to go and pay cash in person everywhere I go. I kind of get made fun of. You know, my coffee shop, I always pay with cash. When I go and buy a computer, yes, I'm going to take $3,000 of cash with me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, absolutely. I am trying to consciously keep cash alive because I know it's a dying fight, but I will die on this hill because as soon as it's gone, you can rest assured that it's going to be very difficult for you to have any semblance of privacy in your life. And so
you go into like an Apple store and you give them $3,000 in cash?
I do. And I feel like a fugitive doing it.
Do they get afraid? Like they back up and call security? Like I've never seen this much money.
Honestly, I feel like they are so not used to this happening. And I kind of feel like a fugitive doing it.
And I find myself making all these,
I make these qualifying remarks like, oh, I've been saving up my cash for a while. This isn't a normal purchase.
Been cutting a lot of lawns.
I'm not used to carrying around cash with me. Oh, I'm sorry. I wonder if you even have access to your cash drawer. Let's make light of the situation. Like, I find myself having to do this. And you can rest assured there are cameras in that Apple store that are looking at me and they have facial recognition. And at the end of the day, according to off the record Apple employees, yes, data gets sent back to central headquarters for records. So
there's
yes,
probably
there are
a poster of you in the back room and they brief everybody.
I buy my devices. Like I recently got a Pixel to install graphene for a new tutorial that I'm doing. And again, like a Pixel phone, that's several $100s of cash that I had to go into a store and hand over. And you have to kind of make friends with the attendant first so that they're not like, this is strange. Why are you paying in cash? Like, it's crazy that I feel like a criminal using my own money just because I choose not to use a credit card, you know? And the fact that so many companies, like on the plane the other day, they're saying, hey, if you sign up for our plane's credit card, you get 1 billion points. That'll give you so much money and perks. Please sign up. And you have to take a step back and think, why are they trying so hard to get us on their credit card? They're an airline. Their business is flights. And it's because they're making just a ton of money by being able to track every purchase that you make. You are the product, right? And we have to be aware of this. So yeah, I'm going out of my way to use cash, but I recently went to Australia. Things are so much worse there. I embarrassed my sister. We go to a coffee shop. It's like a favorite shop, you know? And I start picking fights with the attendant. You can't take me anywhere, I swear. But we go in there. It's like a $48 meal for the two of us. So I hand over a $50 note. And then they say, sorry, we don't have any change. And they hand my money back and just kind of wait there expectantly. I'm like, okay, can you ask your manager if they have like some change, or do you have change, or can we work this out? Do you need other notes? Like, she was just so unapologetic in just refusing my cash and handing it back. And it's like, do you want the tip? In cat? And there was no way to actually work out this situation. She had no desire to accept my cash. And I'm probably the only person that day who had tried to purchase anything in cash. And in the end, my sister had to kind of apologetically come in and pay with her card. And I'm just like, don't do it. Yeah. This is out of principle.
This is how they win. Yeah.
This is how they win. And I apologize to my sister. I'm very sorry. And you just look like recently in recent months, a couple of the largest banks in Australia have announced that they're going cashless. You can no longer get cash withdrawals from your own bank account with these banks. And if you want to, I mean, you can use other third-party ATMs. But like when two of the largest banks announce they're no longer supporting cash, you know that this, its days are numbered. And so this is a worldwide phenomenon where cash is being phased out and people are no longer using it. It's really convenient to pay on your card, but there is a cost to doing so. And I think we need to be more aware of what that cost is, because it's not just about whether we as an individual have something to hide. It's whether we are creating a future where we no longer have the option for any kind of privacy. And we don't know what the circumstances of that future are going to look like, why we might need privacy in a situation. We just can't foresee those details. And so for us to be cutting off the option of any sort of financial privacy by not making conscious choices with our actions today, I think that's this huge mistake.
Okay, so then I forget your exact wording, but earlier in this discussion, you said, the fork in the road, if we want to maintain our privacy, either we just use cash, and we've just talked about why it seems like that's probably going to be a dwindling possibility as time passes, or, again, I forget your exact word, but we build institutions that allow for digital payments that truly do maintain privacy? Was that the other?
We need alternative financial rails. So the traditional financial rails with the banking system and all of the banking apps and the US dollar are all surveilled. There is no way to make a digital transaction now that is private. If you want privacy in transactions, you need to use cryptocurrency, and not just any cryptocurrency. Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of these ones that you've heard of are not private. They're public ledgers that clearly show a trail of where payments have been made, how much money is in your wallet. I would not recommend you use this if you care about privacy, but there are huge amounts of technological advances that have happened in the last decade in terms of privacy on digital ledgers. So zero knowledge proofs, for example, this is something that was just a theory prior, and there were white papers written about it. But then the first white papers using these tools in cryptocurrency came about. And I think Zcash was like the first cryptocurrency to actually be a real world implementation of these zero knowledge proofs. And so it's all very complicated sounding. Essentially what it means is it's this digital lock and key for your transactions. It encrypts all of the data, so actually no one can see it. So there are all kinds of different privacy coins out there now. And a lot of people don't like cryptocurrency. A lot of people say, well, they're a Ponzi scheme or whatever. They have their gripes about this. But I will give you this value proposition. It is the only way that you can make digital transactions that are private today. So for all of the shortcomings, and yes, it's volatile, and yes, it's early stages, and yes, it's cumbersome to use, all of these things I agree with. I agree with. But if you want to be able to make private transactions, you need to start learning about these tools. They will get better over time. I think that anytime you have a market-derived good, there's going to be some volatility there, but it eventually evens out. Like the cost of milk evens out after time. Like if we were bartering with milk, they would probably be volatile according to which circumstances the milk was being traded. But eventually, you'd kind of get an equilibrium there as there's more liquidity in the market. I mean, what we can say is that cryptocurrencies have been around for over a decade now. It's one of the most liquid assets in the world. Bitcoin is one of the most liquid assets in the world. And this is a tool that you have at your disposal should you want to use it. And maybe you don't want to hold it right now because you're worried about it or whatever, but it is a tool you can use in the moment. If you wanted to make a private transaction, you can actually do so today. So I think it's worth people just learning about this stuff and realizing how technology can give them back financial freedom in their lives. And I'm not talking about doing illegal things at all. Like I'm talking about doing things that are completely legal, but in the traditional financial system, it may be legal for you to make financial payments that are private, but it's really hard. It's impossible to do so. So they didn't have to ban privacy in the traditional financial system. They just made it impossible by co-opting the system. So you can actually reclaim your right to financial privacy by using alternative systems.
And I guess part of the undercurrent here, or the theme of what you're saying, is that shouldn't be a weird thing. Like somebody, the onus shouldn't be on you to explain why you want financial privacy. Like that should be the default. It shouldn't be that you're some
Privacy is
weirdo.
normal.
Yeah.
I think one of the most insidious things to come about from the narrative around privacy is we couch it in terms like, what have you got to hide? And I just remind people, like, I don't have anything to hide, but I have a lot of things to protect. I mean, using language like hide, it's almost like it's intended to embarrass the person,
Right.
to make them feel ashamed. I don't think we should feel ashamed to want privacy in our lives. We all close the curtains and we close the bathroom door, and we're not reading out our text messages for everyone to see. When we do things in our lives, we're presuming that most of it is private. We're wrong on that presumption, but there is this expectation that it's not going to be broadly shared. Even when we use email, in the back of our mind, we know that Google is reading them all and analyzing it, but we're not expecting that when I'm trash talking Bill in this email, Bill isn't going to get a copy of that email and see it. There's this presumption of privacy. And we have to realize that all of this stuff is being collected, and it's only a matter of time before it gets leaked in even more data breaches. These things happen all the time. And we need to normalize privacy. We need to reclaim our rights around privacy and push back against anyone who tells us that it's not worth fighting for, or that it doesn't apply to us, or that we've already lost it, so we may as well give up. Because that is a very asymmetric argument that only benefits the people who are surveilling us, and it hurts the everyday citizen. And we need to retilt that balance of power back towards the individual, because right now it is tilted way too far onto one side of the spectrum.